I knew something was terribly wrong the day I opened my eyes in the hospital and saw nobody from my family standing beside me. Not my sons, not my daughters, not even the ones I sold my jewelry to send to school. All I saw was the white ceiling and the sound of machines beeping like angry crickets. My legs were wrapped in thick bandages. My hands felt heavy. I couldn't move. I couldn't even cry properly. 3 days. Yes, 3 whole days I laid there in pain, waiting for someone from my family to walk through the door, someone to hold my hand, someone to say, "Mama, we are here." But nobody came. The nurses kept asking, "Madam, are you sure you have family?" And each time they asked, my heart broke a little more. On the 4th day, I forced myself to pick up the hospital phone with my shaking hands. I dialed my eldest son, the one I trained with my market business, the one I carried on my back when he was small. When he picked up, I could hear music and laughter behind him. "Hello, who is this?" he asked. "It's me, your mother," I whispered. "Oh, you're awake," he said, sounding bored. "I had an accident," I said. "Please come and see me, I can't walk." Instead of worry or fear or even shock, I heard him sigh loudly. "Mum, I'm busy, call someone else." He hung up. I stared at the phone until my tears blurred the numbers, and the nurse had to gently wipe my face. My chest burned with the pain of betrayal. The same boy I raised with my sweat, the same one who cried on my shoulder when his wife left him, the same one I gave my last savings to. But he was not the only one. My younger son didn't even pick up. My daughter said she didn't have transport money. My other daughter said she was tired. My family walked away from me, forgetting I was the one who lifted every one of them from nothing. On the 7th day, the doctor came into my ward with a strange look. "Madam," he said softly, "someone came to see you, but," he stopped and sighed, "you should prepare yourself." My heart began to beat fast. Was it finally one of my children? Did they finally remember me? Did someone come to take me home? Or was this another heartbreak? I didn't know. I only knew that when the door slowly opened. Everything I believed about my family was about to change forever. The moment the visitor stepped inside the room, my mouth opened wide in shock. And that was when the real story began. Before that hospital moment, my life was different. Much different. I was full of energy, full of dreams, full of laughter. Let me take you back to where everything truly began, before the accident, before the betrayal, before I learned that the people you feed can still bite your fingers. My journey started in a small town where everybody knew everybody. I was known as Mama Maggie, not because my name was Maggie, but because I sold so much seasoning in the market that people joked it flowed in my blood. I had 4 children, John, Peter, Anne, and Rose. Their father, Henry, was a humble man with a big nose and a bigger love for football. Whenever he sneezed, the whole house vibrated. The children used to hide behind the door and shout, "Earthquake," whenever he did it. We laughed so much back then. Life wasn't perfect, but we were happy. I sold foodstuff from morning till night, sometimes under the hot sun, sometimes under heavy rain. I would pack tomatoes until my back cried for rest. I would peel pepper until my eyes turned red like someone who lost a fight. But I did it joyfully, because every penny went into raising my children. I paid their school fees, even when I had to skip meals. I bought their books, even when my slippers were tearing. I supported their dreams, even when I had none for myself. When other women slept, I stayed up grinding pepper by hand because my grinding machine had broken down. One night, I was so tired that I fell asleep while grinding and almost turned my finger into stew ingredient. When I told my children, instead of laughing with me, they laughed at me. But I didn't mind. I said, "One day you will understand why I worked this hard." They did not understand. Not then, maybe not even now. As the years passed, my children grew and became successful. John became a businessman. Peter became a mechanic. Anne got married to a rich family. Rose worked in a big office in the city. I was proud, very proud. I didn't know that the same children I built would one day forget me like an old piece of cloth. The day of the accident started like every other day. I woke up early, prayed a short prayer, cooked rice, and prepared to go to the market. The weather was perfect. The sky was clear. Even the birds seemed to be singing with extra joy. I should have known something strange was coming. Life is funny like that. Sometimes the sun shines brightly before the darkest storm. I boarded a small bus heading to town. The driver was talking too much, telling jokes that only he understood. He kept laughing at his own jokes, and the passengers kept looking at him like he was a madman. I remember thinking, this man talks too much. He better focus on the road. But before I could finish the thought, we heard a loud bang. Then another. Then the bus shook like a can of beans, rolling down a hill. The driver shouted. People screamed. The bus swerved sharply. I tried to grab the seat in front of me, but my hand slipped. My head hit the window. The world spun. I felt my legs twist in a way legs are not supposed to twist. Then everything went dark. When I woke up, I was in the hospital, broken in ways I never imagined. And nobody from my family showed up. Not that day. Not the next day. Not even the next 3 days. I kept remembering how I raised my children, how I sent money when they were hungry, how I stood by them in their worst days, how I celebrated their victories louder than anyone. And now when I needed them most, they were nowhere to be found. I told the nurse, maybe they don't know. But they did. The hospital called them many times. Still nothing. One moment that hurt me deeply was when I heard 2 nurses whispering at the door. Her family doesn't care, one said. Imagine if she was my mother, the other said. I closed my eyes so they wouldn't see my tears. But life is never one straight line. Rain falls. Sun shines. Hearts break. Hearts heal. And just when I thought nobody would come for me, just when I thought my story would end in that lonely hospital bed, just when I thought my family had thrown me away forever, the door opened and the least expected person, someone I never thought would look for me, walked inside. The shock of seeing that person made my heart freeze. The door creaked slowly, and I held my breath. I expected to see one of my children, maybe walking in with an excuse, maybe pretending they cared. But when the person entered the room, my mouth dropped open in shock. It was Mark. My neighbor's son, the same boy my family often made fun of because he didn't finish school. The same boy who used to help me carry my bags from the market. The same boy who always called me Mama, even though we were not related by blood. He stood there with a bag of fruits in his hand, looking at me with worried eyes. Mama, he whispered, his voice breaking. I heard what happened. I blinked. I didn't understand. How did he get here before my own blood? Who told you? I asked weakly. He looked down. Your children's friend saw the accident on the road and told my mother. We thought they would come. But when I didn't see anyone from your family at the hospital, I had to come myself. My heart squeezed. This boy, who owed me nothing, came with love I did not expect. But before I could say anything, he rushed to my bedside and gently wiped my forehead. Mama, don't worry, you're not alone, I'll help you. I wanted to smile, but my face felt too heavy. I tried to lift my hand to touch his shoulder, but pain shot through my arm like lightning. Easy, he whispered. He placed the fruit bag on the table. He looked around the empty room and shook his head. Your children, are they really that busy? Ah, that question. The one I didn't know how to answer. The one that stung me deeper than the accident itself. I don't know, I said softly. Maybe they forgot me. He frowned. How can someone forget their mother? I had no answer. Before the conversation could continue, the doctor walked in. He saw Mark and nodded. Good, you're here. She needs support. The doctor turned to me and said, Madam, we need to talk about your bills and your treatment. You will need a caregiver, someone to stay with you. Bills. Caregiver. Money. Support. 4 words my children should have been there to hear. The doctor looked around the empty room again before adding, We called your children, but they said they're unavailable. My heart cracked again. Each time I heard those words, something inside me broke a little more. Mark clenched his fists. "Don't worry, doctor, I'll stay with her today." The doctor nodded. "Good, she needs someone." When he left, Mark sat near me and peeled an orange. He fed me little by little. I felt embarrassed, an old woman being fed like a child, but I swallowed my pride. When he finished feeding me, he said softly, "Mama, do you want me to call your children again?" I hesitated. Part of me said no. Why keep begging for love? Another part said yes. Maybe they would change. "Call them," I whispered. Mark dialed Peter first. "Hello, my name is Mark. I'm with your mother at the hospital." Silence. Then Peter said, "Who is Mark?" "Your neighbor's son," Mark replied. "And what do you want?" Peter asked sharply. "Your mother needs you. She can't walk, she." "Bro, I'm busy. I cannot come now, maybe later." He hung up. Mark looked at me with shock. "Mama, are they always like this?" I tried to laugh, but it came out more like a wounded sigh. They were not always like this. Life changed them. Mark called my daughter Anne next. She picked but sounded annoyed. "Why are you calling me? I'm at work." "It's about your mother," Mark said softly. "She needs you." "Mama is strong. She'll be fine," Anne said. "I'll send something later, maybe next week." Next week. In my condition. Mark ended the call. His jaw tightened. He looked as if he wanted to break something. "Mama, this is wrong," he said. "This is very wrong." I didn't answer. I simply closed my eyes. But even though Mark was there, and even though he was trying his best, my heart still longed for my children. I wanted to pretend they cared. I wanted to believe they would come. Because no matter how old a mother is, her heart never stops hopping her children will choose her. 2 hours later, while Mark was helping the nurse adjust my pillows, something unexpected happened. The door burst open, and someone marched in angrily. It was my eldest son, John. But the look on his face was not love. Not worry. Not care. It was annoyance. Pure annoyance. The first thing he said was not, "Mother, how are you?" No. The first thing he said was, "Mum, why are you disturbing everyone? Why are you making people call me? Do you want to spoil my peace?" My breath caught in my throat. I froze. Mark stared at him in shock. John wasn't done. "You're always creating problems. Why can't you just rest and stop stressing me?" My heart shattered completely. Tears filled my eyes, but I tried to hide them. The room went silent. Even the machines seemed to stop beeping for a moment. Mark stepped forward. "Sir, you don't talk to your mother like that." "Who are you to talk?" John shouted at him. "Is she your mother or mine? Why do you keep calling me?" He turned back to me and hissed loudly. "Mum, if you know you don't want to be a burden, stop involving strangers. I have my own life." Those words stabbed deeper than any wound from the accident. I felt my heart losing strength. I felt the room growing darker. I felt a terrible fear in my chest. Then suddenly, something sharp and painful gripped my heart. Too sharp. Too sudden. The pain was too much. I couldn't breathe. I gasped loudly. "Mama," Mark shouted. "Doctor, doctor." I could feel my heartbeat slowing down. My vision blurred. I heard voices shouting. Hands rushed around me. John stood frozen in the corner, speechless. The last thing I heard before everything went black again was the doctor shouting. "She's going into shock. Get the emergency team, now." When I woke up, I was no longer alone. The emergency team had stabilized me, and Mark was sitting beside my bed, holding my hand tightly. His eyes were red, but he smiled weakly when he saw me open my eyes. "Mama, don't scare me like that again," he said softly. I tried to speak, but my throat was dry and my lips trembled. Finally, I whispered, "Where is everyone else?" Mark shook his head. "They're busy, like always." I felt the bitter sting of truth settle over me. My children had abandoned me. They had never cared for the person who had raised them, fed them, and lifted them from nothing. And yet, here was a boy, an outsider in their eyes, who came running the moment he heard I was in danger. As the days passed, I slowly regained strength. I learned to sit up, to move my legs, and eventually to walk a few steps with a walker. Through it all, Mark never left. He helped me bathe, fed me, cleaned my room, and even made me laugh with his silly jokes about how I looked like a hospital queen. I couldn't help but chuckle at his jokes, even though my heart still ached. One afternoon, while I was resting, John and Peter finally showed up. They had heard I had gone into shock and rushed to the hospital. Their expressions were mixed, half fear, half guilt. "Mama," John said hesitantly, we didn't know." "Didn't know," I interrupted, my voice firm. "Didn't know. You didn't know how many days I lay in this hospital waiting for you. You didn't know how it felt to be abandoned by your own children after all the sacrifices I made." Peter shifted uncomfortably. "Mama, we were busy with work." I laughed bitterly. Busy? Busy with your own lives while your mother was on the edge of death. Busy while the person who fed you, clothed you, and gave you everything you needed was lying here alone. That's your excuse." They had no words, not a single one. I looked at Mark, who was sitting quietly, and I realized something powerful. Blood does not define family. Sacrifice does not guarantee love. People can walk away, but true kindness and loyalty can come from the most unexpected places. I finally spoke to my children, my voice calm but strong. "You may call yourselves my children, but today I see who really cares. Today I see who respects life and love. From now on, you will understand that respect and gratitude are earned, not demanded. You walked away when I needed you the most. You made your choice." John and Peter hung their heads. I could see the guilt in their eyes, but it was too late. My heart had learned a painful lesson. The people who benefit from your sweat and love the most are not always the ones who will be there when you fall. The days turned into weeks. I healed. Slowly, I regained my independence. And when I left the hospital, I did not go home to my children. I went to live in a small, cozy apartment that I bought with the savings I had quietly tucked away over the years, money they had never seen, money they had never earned. Mark continued to visit, always with a smile, always with a joke, always reminding me that family is about choice and love, not just blood. One evening, as we sat sipping tea and watching the sunset, I laughed softly. "You know, Mark, I spent all these years raising ungrateful children, and I almost forgot that life can still surprise you." He grinned. "Life is full of surprises, Mama, and you deserve every good one coming your way." From that day on, I made a promise to myself: never depend entirely on those who take you for granted. Love generously, but protect your heart. Help others, yes, but never let anyone make you feel invisible. And most importantly, know that the family that truly stands by you may come from the least expected place. My children eventually reached out again, asking for forgiveness. I listened, but I did not run to them. I forgave quietly in my heart, but I had learned that true healing comes from valuing yourself first. I had been abandoned, I had been ignored, I had been forgotten, but I survived, I healed, and I discovered that sometimes the people who lift you when you fall are the ones who truly matter. And that, my friends, is the life lesson I want to leave with you. Sacrifice does not always guarantee love, but resilience, wisdom, and kindness will always lead you to the right people and the right place. I looked around my apartment, now filled with laughter, peace, and warmth, and I smiled. I had built my life, my happiness, and my freedom without waiting for those who forgot me. And in that moment, I realized I was never alone. I had never truly been alone. I had myself, and that was more than enough. Thanks for watching. Drop your comment about this video. And please subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos.